Hey everyone, I'm Hallease, a digital storyteller and video producer.
And I'm Mr. Hallease, and I'll tell you what you want, what you really, really want. And this is the Beastcast, your favorite internet aunt and uncle talking about marriage and things like such as.
Yeah.
Roll the intro. That was good. That was good, though.
It was a good one.
I got it. I got you.
You got me.
That's like on the tail end of the coffee.
All right, everyone. So in this episode, you need to actually say what we're talking about because you've explained it, but you also were kind of explaining it in passing. So
I was just trying to Google and go down a rabbit hole of like marriage or relationship topics. Mm-hmm. And I came across the topic of like trial marriage. And it just kind of seems to be that, oh man, it's like a harebrained idea that they think like the young people are starting to adopt.
And because we're so old.
Well, so like articles seem to come up like every couple years. So like I saw some in 2017 and then I saw like a couple in 2014. There was also the New York Times, or was it the New Yorker? One of the New York publishing houses like periodically taps into this. I think there was an article in 89. There was another one in 94. And they're just kind of talking about like, oh, you know, the dissolution of traditional marriage. And this is the thing that people would be doing now. And so the concept boils down to it boils down a couple of different ways. So the idea supposedly also started in like the late 1800s where how do we fix marriage? I mean, you could do the traditional route or it could just be like a contract. Mm-hmm. And essentially it boils down to two people obviously consenting to be together, but it's for a fixed period of time. So it seems to be about 2. So you could do it for 2 years, you could do it for 5. And so you remain childless. And like that seems to be like the linchpin in it. Because if you have children, then you're weighed down. Like it's almost like having children pushes you into the next phase of the marriage. So it's like a Pokemon. It's like its true form is with children.
Okay.
So anything before that is not true marriage almost.
Really?
But so you agree not to have children. And so if you divorce, then you only have, you know, like a few pieces of furniture.
Yeah, your belongings.
Things aren't super messy. And supposedly,
agree to disagree, but sure.
and supposedly this is also for people that are younger, like in their 20s or something. For something like this, if it actually existed on the level that some of these articles made it seem to be,
yeah.
And in this culture that we live in,
yeah,
there'd be tons of people saying, "My trial marriage divorce, day 372."
Yeah, and right.
I don't think I'm going to renew.
So people are essentially, is this like internally they're agreeing to this? Or between the two of them they're agreeing to this?
So, and what I looked at, it's more, yeah, so you're not even, sometimes you're officially getting married, like getting the marriage license. Uh-huh. Sometimes you're just drafting like an agreement between the two of you. So it's like, oh, hey, so for 2 years, let's do it.
Let's do a trial marriage.
And then if we agree to extend it, then we can do it another 2 years. So some people, or like there's a concept of it where it's like in presidential terms.
Right, yeah,
so
like re-election.
Well, so every 4 years you can dive back into it, but after 8 years you get a new one.
Interesting.
And it's more just, and there's a lot in this. So the first thing that I would kind of push onto you, or like the first thing that I think we should talk about is like this trial marriage thing as opposed to cohabitation.
Yeah, because this sounds, to me, what this sounds like is just creating a little more legitimacy about living together. You know? That's what it sounds like.
Does there need to be legitimacy to it?
Right.
Because people just live together anyway.
Right.
Beepity beep 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 beep
hey, everyone.
beep beep.
Sorry. Hi. You're done with your beeps?
Beep.
Okay. Hey everyone, thank you so much for listening / watching this episode of the Beastcast. It's a doozy. A few things you can do, a few announcements. Old, tried and true if you've been here with the Beastcast for a while. Let the ads play if you're watching us here on YouTube. And let the ads play, please, because that helps us out. Give this video a like, thumbs up, all that kind of rigmarole.
All the things that everybody else is saying.
That they say that you have to say to people. We are telling you now to do that, please. The other thing, though, the way that we keep the Beastcast going is by viewers like you on Patreon. Patreon.com / Hallease is where you can go to up your involvement in the Beastcast. It is because of the Patreon producers that we've upgraded our gear, right, for this podcast, lighting, camera, because of the Patreon producers.
Be a co-owner.
It kind of is. That's actually what I kind of say. I mean, that's why I call them producers. It's because they're helping me produce the show.
I just hate those employee stock.
Oh, right.
Buying per program.
Yeah,
Like, become a co-owner in the company. It's like, stop it.
Yeah, you don't.
But y'all, please become a co-owner in the company.
Anyway, by becoming a Patreon producer, you get early access to every episode, as well as other videos that end up on the channel as well. And then you also, if you give at the $5 level, then you get exclusive vlogs by me that don't go open to everyone else. So yeah, a lot of reasons to join if the spirit moves you.
For the cost of 5 lottery tickets.
And then finally, the last thing is we do have merch. It is below if you are watching us on YouTube. If you are listening, then it is at teespring.com/stores /Hallease.
Or just look up Hallease on YouTube.
That too.
On your internet connected device.
Yeah.
And
I am very Googleable.
Googleable?
I am very Googleable. Yeah. That is by design. Anyway, back to the episode. The trial marriage, what it sounds like it's doing is setting you up to make divorce easier.
Yeah, and that's what somebody said, I guess.
That's just, and so it sounds like before going into it, you're
thinking about the end already.
Yeah, you're already thinking about the end. So why are you getting married?
So I thought that trial marriage was going to be people entering into a trial marriage just to get, it's like, well, it's like virginity. You just need to get it out of your system. Get rid of it.
Oh, like be married so you can just say you did that?
You need to get the first marriage out of the way because that's the trash one.
Oh.
And so you're ready and you know what the mistakes are. And so when you actually get married,
that's not going to help you. No,
because
every marriage is different.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, every relationship is different. Being in relationships before you get married, I think I can't really speak to it because I wasn't really in a lot of them. But I feel like being in relationships before marriage probably helps you. Yeah, because not necessarily because you learn how to be with someone else or whatever, but you just learn about yourself and what you truly want out of a relationship, right? Or what you truly need out of a relationship. Whereas this trial marriage thing sounds like you want the title of marriage without the actual evolution of marriage, right? Because to me, it's also, if you're already thinking about getting out and when you're getting in, why are you getting married to this person? In any form, why are you getting married to the person in any regard? Not even just in a trial. I don't know.
It just seems to be that every couple decades, people think that, that the tradition is eroding. And on top of that, the young people are just doing a whole bunch of such crazy things that they're probably going to start doing rent-a-marriage or something. That's almost what it sounds like.
I mean, sure. My rebuttal to that would be the understanding that marriage is different across every culture, every society, every generation, right? So we still have countries where getting married is not even up to you. It is up to your parents who you marry.
Right.
And it's very strict about how you even meet the person you're going to marry. They're like, who are you to even know what you want? I raised you. I know what you want. I know what you need,
Or it's not even that, but it's you were a burden onto me, so I am passing the burden now.
Yeah.
You are my property, but now I can sell you to something else.
Yeah.
For a cow, for instance.
Yeah. And there are people that enter into that union and it works for them. You know, they stay married and are relatively happy for the bulk of their life. And that's just because their marriage is defined differently. That's it. You know?
Yeah.
So a trial marriage to me, actually, this is a better point. What a trial marriage sounds like to me is that whoever these people are that are trying to enter into one, a traditional marriage is not working. Like that notion, that idea goes against their core ideology for whatever reason. And so they're trying to figure out, how do I fit into this without actually fitting into this?
Well, so, I mean...
Because it's a benefit, like socially, culturally in America, I think it still is technically a benefit to be married to somebody.
I think this is almost the way that it's being written, or the way that it seems to have been proposed, is very tongue-in-cheek. You're bringing attention to this by being absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
I get you. And so the whole, the dissolution of marriage, well, you know, the people are probably going to go into trial marriage or beta marriage or, you know, any other number of stupid naming conventions for this thing.
Marriage.
Trademark.
TM.
You marriage, because it's all about you.
Ooh.
And not about we. Trademark.
Yeah. I mean, here's a question.
I don't think this is actually a thing. I mean, in the comments, if someone wants to tell us,
let us know if you've been in a trial marriage. Definitely make your voice be known.
I thought it was fascinating, and I was kind of interested in it, but now it's just kind of like, well,
like even if you don't necessarily, you know, concede to whatever the social norms of your area are, to make the conscious decision to break away from that is still a decision you're making. You know what I mean? And it's hard. So, you know, we have friends that, weren't married or anything like that, but still live together and whatnot. And I'm sure to a degree, depending on what their upbringing was, that might have been a difficult decision or not. But everyone's thing is different, you know?
So I think it was just the concept that got my mind racing, because I also, in addition to that first thought that I had about trial marriage or what it meant, I also thought maybe it was people... It's like this whole reality TV thing where like you kind of knew somebody, or you had like a decent enough friend, and so you would just say, hey, why don't we get married? So we can, because we're so not unlucky in love, well, in so many words, but because we don't seem to have things together. Yeah. We can figure things out together, and then maybe we'll want to stick it out, maybe we won't, and then we'll just move on to other people. I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, to me, this whole trial marriage thing comes back to, and I think this was a topic we discussed a while back, of the guy proposed to her, and she was like, well, what if we just aren't with each other for a while first? Right. And what it really boiled down to was that they just weren't the people they were supposed to be with, you know?
Well, she wasn't ready to settle down.
Right.
So she wanted to date other people first.
Right. Which to me is just, okay, so you don't want to get...
Yeah, we both felt that way. It's
like,
no.
You just don't want to get married.
Yeah, so don't get married.
Just don't get married, you know? But what this sounds like another thing of, like, which is what I think we were talking about at breakfast this morning, of, like, people in general are in denial about themselves, about what they truly want. Because you have so much social pressure, you have so much internal pressure, that it's like, well, I feel like I should want to marry this person, so, but how can I make it to where there is little risk as possible, because deep down, you know you don't want to marry this person.
Well, so I don't know if we've talked about this in a previous podcast, but is the end game? Is the end game marriage?
Yeah.
So
that's a good...
Does every
overall?
Yeah, does every relationship need to end in marriage? Not to be successful, but is that what everything is gravitating to?
Single people sound off on that, but I don't know.
Or can you just be together?
Yeah.
Are you just being together to be together, or are you always in some sort of temporary phase until marriage?
I think based on interactions I've had with female friends, right, who have been with the same person for a long time, and then we're finally just waiting for them to propose to them. Because it was, when I talked to them about it, like, oh, what made you just want that, you know? I was trying to see, like, is this a social pressure thing, or what, you know, what is it? Because most of these women that I have met that were in that sort of situation were already very independent and very successful on their own. Like, they didn't need their partner, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And when I talked to them about it, most of them said, I just can't plan. I can't
plan around a maybe.
I can't plan around, yeah. And I completely get that. Like, whether for better or worse, having the marriage certificate or having this sort of like contractual agreement or spiritual agreement, whatever kind of marriage you know, whatever, having something in writing that sort of just solidifies the intention of each person, you can then plan accordingly now under this new understanding.
Right, but so if you were in a trial marriage for 3 years,
yeah, you can plan around that though.
In 3 years, we need to make sure that the lease is up wherever we're living.
Yeah.
And then we'll just see if we want to keep doing it.
And also just, you know, it's a lot easier to say, yeah, I love you enough to try it for 2 years. Sure.
I love you enough.
I mean, I think that's literally, you know what I'm saying?
It's like a car. Like, I think we can get to the grocery store on a quarter tank.
Yeah, I mean, like, in Sophie words, I think that's what people are trying to do. Of just like, I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure about 2 years. I'm pretty sure I can be good with you for 2 years, which is...
Well, why even get married?
Realistic. That's actually a more realistic way to think about it.
Sorry,
you
I
know,
keep scratching my nose.
Of like, yeah, for the next 2 years, I'm pretty sure. I mean, I'm more sure about that than being, you know, 45 and still.
But why not just date? Like, what do you need? You don't need the status of marriage.
No, I don't think that's actually what they're trying to get, though. I think it's really just about the contractual thing of like, great, now I don't have to think about this for 2 years. Like, I can plan the next 2 years of my life, period. You know, like, now I don't have to, by signing this trial marriage, you have released me from having to wonder and ponder about this for at least 2 years or however long the agreement is. So actually, I kind of get it, actually. The more I'm talking, I kind of get it.
What if 4 months in you're not happy?
Yeah, then you're screwed, you know. There you go. But...
Well, no, I mean, but that's the same thing as a normal marriage. It's like, oh, well, 6 months in, we're not happy.
Yeah.
You can end it.
Yeah.
It's like, so why do you need the title?
Yeah, true. But it's the same kind of thing with a lease. You know, like, oh man, 6 months in, I don't like it here. I just have another 6 months. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can do that too.
No, it depends on how bad it is.
Well, yeah.
You just break the lease.
True. But I'm just saying.
Well, so like the lease is imposed. We would not choose to be in a lease. We would rather do month to month in a place. Like, I would rather do month to month in a place.
Oh, really?
Why not? I don't like it here.
This is news to me.
Let's go find some other place.
Okay.
But we're unhappy, so now we have to wait another year.
Yeah.
To renegotiate or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, so why would you willingly enter into a temporary constraint? That doesn't make sense.
But it's a constraint officially.
Well, so for these people who are unsure of whether or not they want to spend the rest of their lives together.
Yeah.
And it needs to be, well, let's commit to a short term and then see how it fares.
Yeah.
Why even do that? Just exist. Just live, and if you're living together, then you live together. If you grow apart, then you grow apart. It's like people in marriage go through these phases.
Yeah,
It doesn't matter. Like, being in marriage, it doesn't automatically put you in a bubble or a shield or something. It makes you impervious to the problems that everybody else experiences.
Yeah,
things shift and things change.
But I would say that being in a marriage does make you. I still think that being in a marriage makes you just put in more of an effort. For some reason, and not saying that because, I just feel like for some reason, if you're in a living situation where there hasn't been, I guess, some kind of contract signed, right? It's not that it's not a legitimate partnership. I'm sure it is. But I think having the weight of that just kind of on you a little bit, reminding you of that.
And we've talked about that before.
Yeah, makes you just reassess how you approach the relationship, you know? And so I wonder if this is like contract light, like people are trying to see, okay, is there a way to sort of like pre-marriage to see
engagement?
Sure. But again, with engagement, you're not necessarily living together, all that kind of stuff too. Again, engagement is just a pretty formality in a ring. It's not signing something.
It's the same. I mean, so what is to sign?
Yeah, like the marriage contract going down.
No. But I'm saying like, why is there like this magical power with signing?
I don't know. You tell me. I mean, you're the one that actually mentioned this in a previous episode of like, you know, it was actually good that we didn't live together before marriage, and then like we got it, and like that made me think about us differently.
That doesn't sound like me.
Roll the tape. I don't feel like finding it, but there is tape. You know? You mentioned that. Because remember before when we were dating, you were like, you can move in next week. I don't care. You know?
Yeah.
And I was like, no, we're not doing that. Because so think about it that way. If I had moved in, right, how long would it have taken before you finally proposed to me? There's no reason to. To your point, there's no reason to.
Well, no, you and I were both of the mindset, or I don't know if you were just agreeing with me. It's like, well, yeah, I mean, why? We don't need to get married. We just be together. Like we don't have to have that formalized relationship.
No, I wanted that.
Oh, you wanted that?
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
Because you asked me. Remember, you asked me to move in with you. In so few words. He didn't like straight up be like, move in with me. But you were hinting at that. And I could see that and was like, no. Not until we're at least, I think I told you, until we're at least engaged, I'm not living with you. Because, and to me, this is a power play. If actually we're going to be upfront about it. For me, it was a power play because it's like, why would I move in with you? And now whose name is on the lease? It's just yours.
Yeah, okay.
Whose name is
so it's
ranching,
more protecting you.
Yeah,
yourself.
Whose name is on all the utilities, all that kind of stuff, whatever. And then if we don't work out, which is more likely because we aren't married, there's no reason, like, you haven't fully committed by signing something, you know? I'm not finna put myself in that situation. Because if you decide you don't want to be with me anymore, now who's the one that's really inconvenienced?
Well, so we
Me.
do. So people do need. So people do just need that, just that mental shift.
Yeah.
To say, oh, this is technically permanent.
At least,
when it's not.
least for the next 2 years.
Well, I'm not even talking about that anymore.
Oh, okay.
I'm just talking about marriage in general.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. It is a mental shift. That sometimes takes a few years for you to finally
I was going to say, it took a minute.
A while.
Took you a long minute. It took you several minutes.
It took me several minutes.
Felt like an hour.
Got there, though. But if and that's the thing, like, think about, again, if we had not, say we had been together as long, right, and living together, yeah, I probably would have just left. I mean, really, you know? I hate to boil it. I don't want to diminish the, like, seriousness of our relationship or how much I love you and respect you as a person by saying, you know, just by saying, like, well, because I signed this paper, that's the only reason that kept me here. Because it's not, but it helped.
It is, right. So it
is
did,
a factor.
It's like shifting gears.
Yeah.
Like, I'm already in third. I can go to 2, but we're moving, so why would I go to 2?
Yeah. I think...
Or 1. Let's say 1.
Yeah. I think it is important to have something that really puts it into perspective for you. Because at the end of the day, most contracts can be undone in some way, right?
Right.
But you need that push to just really make you take a minute and think about what you're actually deciding to do with this person.
Okay, so taking it back to the whole, what the heck was this called again?
Trial marriage.
Trial marriage. So the whole trial marriage thing. We're talking about this thing that probably doesn't exist. So this is like arguing over
hypotheticals. Yes.
Well, no, it's like
what I delight in doing. To be
would the
honest.
chupacabra have teeth that are made out of hypodermic needles, or like look like they're hypodermic needles, to be easier to like suck the life out of a goat? And it's like, no, that doesn't make sense. And it's like, anything makes sense.
In this
We're
reality.
talking about something that doesn't exist.
Yeah, true.
So with trial marriage, I feel like it comes down to like buying a car.
Okay.
So it's you either buy it flat out or you lease it.
Okay.
And so
All right.
I feel like, as I scratch myself, I feel like it's more like, oh, young people, they just don't commit to anything. They're so wishy-washy.
Are we,
And
though?
so, of course, they're going to want to lease, because then in 3 years, you trade in the old model and you get something new and flashy. And so you're never bored. And so I think that this is more just a critique of how fickle people perceive young people, especially, and this always kills me, the negative stereotypes on millennials.
Yeah.
Some of that's true, but the way that everybody just kind of like kicks a can around us, it's like, come on, man.
Yeah. It's a little annoying because it's just like when you were growing up, whatever generation you were in, the generation before you was saying, talking mad trash about you, and then here you are.
Right, and how you were going to be the end of everything that they held dear.
Like, oh, no. Millennials aren't buying houses. What's wrong with them? They're expensive,
I'm investing in other things that actually return more.
Yeah. Would you have gotten into a trial if it was legitimately a thing that was socially accepted and
there were billboards up and everything? Okay.
Yeah, go get your trial marriage today. Would you get a trial marriage with me then? And how long would it be? That's a great question. Because no, I'll just let you answer.
No, because I was already certain at the time when I wanted to marry you that you were going to be the only person for me.
Ah, okay.
As right or wrong as that could have been,
Yeah.
like as lucky as I was in that assumption, that's just what I was. So
Yeah.
it's like, why would I lease?
Yeah.
I'm going to have to pay, like, I'm going to be restricted in miles. I'm going to have to pay for the depreciation of the car. And it's like, there's all this other stuff at the end of it.
Yeah.
This is like, yeah, so if I committed to you for 3 years and then we would both have to agree that we wanted to stay in it, right?
Yeah.
In this, again, on these chupacabra rules.
On these chupacabra terms.
So if I said, yeah, I'm totally down, and then at year 3 for you,
Yeah.
like it was in our marriage, you're like, I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, so you're telling me, and again, so we're going back to the car analogy.
I'm trash, y'all.
Oh, okay, well, I'm going to get this car, and then in 3 years, I may not have a car. Like, why would I do that?
I don't know.
Like, what? So in 3 years, I'm just going to be alone. In 3 years, there's a possibility of me being alone.
And here's the thing. So actually doing these chupacabra rules, right, with this trial marriage.
People, I'm sorry. People are like, what the heck?
Is a chupacabra?
No, like chupacabra and then car buying?
Whoever.
What is this?
Rev is going to have a hilarious time putting the captions on this video. Anyway.
I hope you're having fun with this, Rev.
Yeah, thanks, Rev.
Because your job is hard.
Yeah. But so keeping in mind these chupacabra rules, think about it this way. When you're leasing an apartment, right, and your lease is up in a couple months, you're actively going and looking for another apartment.
Oh.
So think about being in a trial marriage, right? And y'all just like officially haven't talked about because it's the 3 years are coming up, But if I'm actively going and looking for another apartment because like, oh no, yeah, I'm fitting to be out of this and like scheduling, like pick stuff up, so that means that what it really means is by, 2 years and 6 months, it's not happening.
Oh, I thought you were talking about. So the trial marriage is a 3 year term.
It's a 3 year thing. But by 2 years and 6 months, you probably already know if I'm not committed.
Right. So 2 years, 8 months, you're already rolling around on somebody else's carpet. Is that where we're talking? Like that's where I went.
Oh yeah, I guess.
Because you're like, look, I need to find out what the new one is.
Oh.
And you're both like, yeah, we're both. This is.
I was coming
whatever.
at it purely logistically from like living situation. Like if you're living with your, your trial marriage person, and it's like, yeah, if it's for a 3 year thing, but you already know, you actually need to make up your mind at year 2,
right?
Not year 3,
No, and you're right. But then to top that, nobody wants to be alone. Yeah. I don't want to be without a car, so I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go drive other cars.
I'm gonna just go start dating, and like maybe you're low key on the apps, and that's messy as hell.
You come back with like
nobody wins in this.
Car seat crabs or something because you're car driving.
Nobody wins in this situation. This just now logistically this is difficult to maneuver.
This just does make things
I
more
think
difficult.
This actually makes things more difficult.
This is
than
like
easy.
this is a kid's game. It's like you can't touch the lava, and on top of that, you can only breathe 3 times every minute.
Yeah.
Like, why?
Yeah.
That's not fun. The whole point to being alive is to do good as best you can and not be miserable about it.
Yeah, sure. I'd agree with
why
that. That's
are
a
you-
very simple and yet accurate definition of living.
So why constrain
That
yourself?
works.
So I think this is more Google and oh man, what's that called? It's just like witch hunting. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like the degradation of marriage, and millennials are doing weird things, and of course we'd be doing that. And it's like there's 12 people in the entire country that are
Actually
maybe
in
doing
this
this,
thing, yeah.
and they don't call it a trial marriage. You're like, that's stupid. We're just living together.
Yeah.
Oh, you're cohabitating. You're just living together. Why is it always a label with you?
Yeah. Yeah. This is my girlfriend and we live here. That's it. That's the thing. I mean, to me, this just begs that question of just how do you define marriage and like relationships, and what do you actually need in order to feel comfortable in your relationship?
Yeah.
You know? So again, I come back to those women that I'm friends with that had been with their partners for upwards of 4 or 5 years before they married. And for them, it really just came down to, it just really became a very practical thing. Like, I just am hitting a point in my career where, you know, I just need to know how, like, you can, to tie this actually back into professionally, right? You know, this is why contractors work within the confines of their contract. I understand why even in the short term, people are trying to look for some kind of, not even reassurance, what is it? Some kind of structure out of the chaos that is truly life. Because life is just chaos. That's all it is. Like all the rules we have, all the terms that we use, it's all arbitrary. It's all just socially agreed upon. I think it was another Seinfeld bit of like going along with money. He's like, we've all just agreed that this paper has value, you know?
Yeah, it's a social contract.
Yeah, the world has just agreed that these different types of colored papers have different number values, and those things translate to belongings or stock or whatever the thing may be. Well, so I think this contract is people trying to create some kind of, at least, even if it's just short-term structure for their life. But by that same logic, then it does like come full circle, you know, of why did you feel the need to propose to me? Why did you feel the need to get married? If I'm already saying that, like, you know, I'm committed to you, this, that, and the third. Mm-hmm. And yet, you still proposed to me.
Because you told me that we could not live together.
Oh.
And I think, well, it was also your parents. Your parents had also mentioned that we could not live together unless we got married. Right. It was like, okay.
So I'm going to do this swiggle swaggle. So
I can't, you're telling me that I can't buy groceries unless I come back in here wearing that hat. I have money, right? You want me to wear the hat? Fine. It's a hat. I'll wear it.
Yeah.
And they're like, yes, now you're one of us. Okay. That's cool.
But like, to come back though, do you think that we would have lasted if we hadn't gotten married though? I don't know if we would have. How do you feel about trial marriages? If you met some people at the pool and they were like, oh, is that your wife? Yeah, for the next 2 years. And you're like, oh.
It's like, oh, haha, that's a weird joke.
That's funny. Like, no, seriously. We have a trial marriage. I can't even say it without chuckling. I'm sorry. For those of you who actually have trial marriages, sorry.
For those chupacabras out there that are in a trial marriage, this is not any offense to you. Yeah. I'm sorry. But because
I would just be like, to me, it'd be like, why even label yourself? Just she's your girlfriend or she's your partner. Just say partner. I don't know.
This is just trivia. Like, this is weird trivia that you just don't need to know.
Yeah.
Because most people, I'm pretty sure if that was a situation, those people would say, oh yeah, we're in a trial marriage, just expecting for someone to take the bait.
Yeah, like wanting people to keep asking
so they can
questions.
Just explain.
I'm gullible as hell. I'm going to ask all sorts of questions.
What's a trial marriage? Everyone's doing them.
Ooh, this would be my question. what if you die in a car accident? Does she get anything? Like, I'd start asking all of the logistical things that really do come up. Like, especially because if they're saying trial marriages, I feel like they already probably hit a certain income level and all that kind of stuff too. So your job probably has like an insurance plan for if you die, you know, and like you've had to sign like who gets it, you know, stuff like that. So did y'all have to have a conversation about how she's not getting that or how you're not getting her thing? Or like, I would just make it hella awkward by asking all the questions that come up as you get married and have to work through. Beneficiaries, insurance.
My question would just be why. It's like, oh, okay, well, this is like people being pregnant. People are automatic, like you've already aired out all your dirty laundry. People are going to ask questions. What's the sex of the baby? What's this other stuff? So it's like, oh, okay, trial marriage. Why?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, because people could ask us the same thing, like, oh, why did you even get married? Because we loved each other. Well, that's a stupid reason. It's like, okay, well, why am I talking to you?
Yeah.
Get out of my face.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, they're gonna say, "Oh, we're in a trial marriage." And it's like, okay, so why?
Yeah.
Are you bored of her already?
I like how we're automatically digging into the dude on this.
Yeah.
In this heterosexual trial marriage, we're really going in on the guy for
Well,
some
I mean,
reason.
as a man, I can't like attack a woman. It's
Right,
like,
sure.
why are you?
Yeah, I guess
You're just giving out your best like young years
to someone that you're not sure about.
Yeah, like your body like looks fade. Just
Very
like
true.
looks fade.
Very,
so
yes.
all of this that you're
They
wasting
do
on this
fade,
dude,
don't they?
like, are you wasting it on this dude?
The looks do fade, don't they? You missed out.
No, I was like making
I was
jabs.
waiting for you to catch the jab, but it wasn't.
Nope,
jab.
I'm still going into this hypothetical chupacabra dude.
Yeah, keep going.
That's a question like why? Oh,
Yeah.
because how can you be sure about anything? It's like, yeah,
That's
exactly.
true.
How
can you be sure about it?
Do you have a job? Yes. So why do you have a job? Well, how can you be sure about anything? Why don't you just like jump around to job?
Yeah.
If you're afraid of commitment. So
I know for some people too, actually this is an interesting point to bring up. For some people too, I know just the act of marriage, even though they are great partners, there's something about the stigma of just the institution of it that just does not jive with them. Because I've learned, and I think this was a couple months back, or maybe, no, it might have been last year during everything, where there was a point where you kept speaking in this language around what was happening and kind of throwing me into it as like, I can't provide for my wife. I can't, like, you kept using that like sort of phrasing and terminology a lot. Like, I'm not doing my part in this husband-wife relationship that I'm in, right? Like, I'm failing as a husband and stuff like that. And I think I eventually said to you, first off, I didn't actually get married to be taken care of. That's not why I got married, first of all. So you're freaking out about something that I am not expecting from you. Mm-hmm. And then the second thing was the fact that you're expecting that, like, do you need to reevaluate what you call me? Like, if I don't need to be your wife so you can stop putting this arbitrary pressure on yourself, then fine. I can just be your partner. I can be your best friend. I can be something else. I don't need to. If being a wife is automatically putting you in a negative space, then I don't want to be your wife.
Well, that wasn't even the thing. It's more, you could call it a partnership because that's more accurate. It's
right.
just two people trying to forge against the great river of life and just trying to survive.
But I get it. I remember we had like sort of roasted Will and Jada in like a previous episode of like, they're talking about partnership. But I get it now that we've actually kind of been through a couple things. It's like, I get why she says like, I'm not in a marriage, I'm in a life partnership. I'm in this, I'm in that. Because like, for whatever reason, she was putting a lot of labels onto husband
but with
that
me,
aren't accurate.
There's still just as much expectations out of a partnership.
Yeah, but I think...
Well, no, so like in my head, the partnership is, again, people being equal in this thing that we're in.
Yeah.
And so I feel like I am not making it equal, even regardless of whether it's equal or not.
Got you.
So it's like, it's not about labels. It's just that I don't feel like like my hands are tied. I feel like I am not doing as much. I feel like I am less of, I mean, in so many words, I am less of a man. Like I am not, I cannot provide for myself or my wife, and I could not do all these other things, and we're living with whatever, and it's just, all of that was building up. And it's not just, I cannot bring meat to my wife to sustain them. It's more just like, I feel like a failure because everything feels like a failure. So I must be a failure.
Yeah.
Thanks, 2018.
Yeah. That's what I guess I just misinterpreted it then. Because to me, it felt like, oh, you're putting all of this, all of these things on this wife word, you know? And then especially, I think we did another Beastcast where we actually Googled wife and it was the synonyms were all negative. Remember that?
I remember that.
Well,
depending on the dictionary, but
man?
yes.
Yeah, it was crazy.
I mean, I was
And
also...
then husband, it was like all positive. And wife, it was all negative.
I was very emotionally stunted in 2018, so I don't know if I had the correct terminology to use to describe what I was feeling.
Maybe. I mean, maybe.
It's like, everything is just hard. Well, what about it is hard? Everything. I just told you everything is hard. Well, specifically, what about it? My life. This is the jar filled with my life. Everything is hard. Well, let's talk about like one aspect of it. Okay.
Oh man. Anyway,
in the comments below, rip this episode to shreds because I think it's actually going to be pretty entertaining.
It will be, and it'll probably be a little bit of a longer one too. Sorry.
We went all over the place here.
We did, but we're bringing it back. Trial marriage.
If y'all made it this long, thank you.
Thanks. Appreciate you. And we'll see you next time, I guess.
Bye.
Bye.